What if I told you in the next few minutes I was going to read your mind? Because that's exactly what I'm going to do. Welcome everybody to the first official episode of One Opinion in 8 Billion. And today's topic, aliens. So, the reason I've chosen this topic purely is because it's one of those subjects, like many others, that's essentially split down the middle. Roughly half the world believes that alien life exists, or at least believes that it's possible. And if half the planet believes something, that's not madness, that's a phenomenon. So the question isn't, are all those people crazy? The real question is, are we even asking the right question in the first place? Earlier I said I was going to read your mind, so let's do that. Now, picture an alien when you hear the word alien, and you're going to have in your mind now a tall humanoid figure, grey pale skin, large bulbous head, big black eyes. Now you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh my god, has he actually just read my mind? Well, the truth is, no, I didn't. We've simply been conditioned to imagine the same thing. We live in a world shaped by shared narratives, social norms, repeated imagery, films, science fiction, eyewitness accounts, and pop culture. Over time, one description, it becomes a description, and eventually it becomes the default image in all of our minds, which is how I was able to read yours. Now, this is actually the same principle used in certain forms of psychic readings. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that all psychic readings are frauds, or all psychics are frauds, because I don't know that. But some absolutely rely on suggestion and probability. For example, I'm nearly 40. If I was to go to a psychic today, they would undoubtedly at some point during that reading say that they're getting a sense that I've had a loved one or a close relative that's been lost. Well, I'm 40. The likelihood of having a paternal or maternal grandparent that has passed away is highly likely. Now, what they do is they'll chuck out some feelers out there like periodic, generational names, and basically be looking to read your micro reactions to those comments and to those prompts. It feels personal, but it's pattern recognition, and that's all, and that's the key. Because maybe the real question isn't just, are aliens real? Maybe the better questions are, why do we all picture the same one? Why do we assume they're humanoid? Why do we assume that they're more intelligent than us? And why do we imagine something monstrous and superior to us? Before we even ask if aliens exist, maybe we need to examine how our minds construct them in the first place. Because here's something important. The human brain, it doesn't like uncertainty. From an evolutionary standpoint, uncertainty means danger. If you were to hear something move in the bushes and assumed it was harmless, but it wasn't, you didn't survive. So we developed a bias, an internal threat detection system. We are wired to assume the unknown might be hostile. And that wiring doesn't disappear now that we have telescopes instead of spears. So when we imagine intelligent life elsewhere, we don't imagine something neutral. We imagine something stronger and more advanced, potentially even aggressive. And if we're honest, that assumption says more about us than it does about them. Because what are we projecting outward? Our history of war, our colonial expansion, our power struggles, and our need to dominate. These are known as anthropomorphism, which is a term projecting human traits onto non-human things. Now we do this with animals, we do it with nature, and we could even well be doing it with the cosmos. The question becomes, are aliens frightening, or are we simply exporting our own psychology into space? Now, careful, I know what you're thinking. No, we're not being necessarily visited by little green men. Doesn't mean that every UFO sighting is proof of anything. It simply means that with the probability scale that large, the conversation changes, which brings us to something else important. Now let's widen the lens. If you zoom out far enough, something changes. We live on a planet orbiting a fairly average star. That star is one of roughly 100 to 400 billion stars in our galaxy alone. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, is just one of hundreds of billions of galaxies in the observable universe. Just let that sink in for a moment. Hundreds of billions of galaxies, each containing hundreds of billions of stars. Now here's the crunch. Astronomers estimate that there are more stars in the observable universe than there are grains of sand on all of the beaches, in all of the deserts, on Earth combined. That's a wow moment, right? It's not even fathomable. Most of those stars form planetary systems of some sort, similar to our solar system. Rocky planets on the inner orbits, gas giants further out where it's cooler. This isn't speculation, this is standard nebula formation physics. We've observed thousands of exoplanets already. Some in habitable zones known as the Goldilocks zone, which is the perfect distance from the star, the hosting star, for light. Some Earth-sized, some potentially ocean worlds. So here's the quiet, rational question. With numbers like that, is it statistically arrogant to assume that we're alone? So what do we even mean by life? When people hear alien, they picture intelligence, technology, spaceships. But bacteria are life. Microbes are life. Single-celled organisms are life. And we know that life on Earth thrives in places that we once thought impossible. Boiling hydrothermal vents, deep ocean trenches under crushing pressure, frozen Antarctica ice, highly radioactive environments. Some microbes can even survive short exposure to vacuum and radiation conditions similar to that of space. So perhaps the real question isn't, are aliens monsters? It's, is biology rare? Or is chemistry almost inevitable given the right conditions? Before we look outward though, we should look backwards. How did life begin here on Earth? Now Earth formed about 4.5 billion years ago. The early planet was molten, violent, bombarded by asteroids and comets during what was known as the Late Heavy Bombardment. Now comets likely delivered the majority, if not all, of Earth's water. Meteorites have been found to contain amino acids, the building blocks for proteins. Now as Earth cooled and oceans formed, water became the chemical playground. Add some energy sources, lightning, ultraviolet radiation, geothermal heat. Add some mineral surfaces that help molecules assemble. And over immense timescales, simple chemistry becomes complex chemistry. And complex chemistry becomes self-replicating systems. Single-celled organisms emerged roughly 3.8 billion years ago. And from there, mutation plus natural selection over billions of years, from microbes to multicellular cellular organisms, to fish, to mammals, to us. Life was not instant. It was chemistry plus time. And the universe has had far more time than Earth alone. So, if water exists elsewhere, and we know it does, if organic molecules exist elsewhere, and we know they do, if energy sources exist elsewhere, and they absolutely do, then statistically, well, you can finish that sentence. Now here's where the conversation shifts, because even if life is common, distance may be the true barrier. Space is not empty in the casual sense. It is vast beyond intuitive comprehension. Mars, our closest planetary neighbour, and at times it's still months away with our current technological advancements in propulsion. The nearest star system beyond our own is over 4 light years away. Now a light year is the distance light travels in a year. Light, the fastest thing we know. So the challenge might not be life existing elsewhere. The challenge may be reaching it in a lifetime. And this is where aliens stop being the main point, because something more immediate emerges, our own survival. Now Earth will not exist forever. The sun has a life cycle, asteroids are real, supervolcanoes are real, climate systems shift, and perhaps most unpredictably, human technological risk is real. Very real. Now we are technologically advanced, but politically fragmented at the same time. If survival is a species level issue, why do we still operate almost entirely at nation level? Now, the universe does not recognise borders, physics does not negotiate, extinction events do not discriminate between passports. Yet, we duplicate research, compete for dominance, and recreate failed experiments in isolation. Now imagine instead shared propulsion research, unified climate strategy, open scientific collaboration, a truly global space initiative. Now, competition can drive innovation, yes, but collaboration accelerates survival. And when the stakes are existential, acceleration matters. Now, the scale of the cosmos should humble us. The fragility of Earth should unite us. Alien life may exist, it may not, but our responsibility here, now, that is not hypothetical. Now, if we can imagine life beyond Earth, surely we can imagine working together on it. So now I ask you, is life rare or inevitable? Is collaboration realistic or naive? And if we discovered microbial life tomorrow on Europa or Mars, would that divide us further? Or finally remind us that we're all on the same small rock? Now let me know what you think in the comments, because this is just one opinion in 8 billion. Now if you've enjoyed this podcast, please like, subscribe and share with your friends and family. Thank you.